Medically speaking, there's no accounting for taste.
It was a different time.
Was it something I said?
I've got a hot
Get it right. I fell.
We're on a mission of exploration from the planet Earth. Let's go.
Good
Jody.
evening and welcome to Enterprise at 8 p.m. What? Somebody
Let's
just said
go.
my name. Oh, let's go. All right. Welcome to Enterprise at 8. This is Live Long and Podcast Star Trek Enterprise Rewatch Series.
Oh wait, that's
right.
not the right.
It's-
That's not the right banner. What am I doing?
What? Oh man, do you want to just start over or no? We're good. All right. Anyway,
Go ahead.
We'll just keep going. There's the right banner. We got it now. We have too many shows. That's the problem. All right. It's been just over 20 years since tonight's episode Silent Enemy first aired, but we're just getting started here at Enterprise at 8. I'm Jody Simpson, and my co-host tonight is none other than the man who would have waited until Tuesday to leave Space Dock, Adam Woodward. Anybody get that joke?
I totally get that joke. And didn't we
Excellent.
talk about that in some episode somewhere down the road? But anyway, yes, I would have waited until Tuesday. Actually, 2 weeks for the proper freaking weapons. But yes, good episode.
That would have helped.
It was a really good episode. I only was mildly annoyed twice.
Only mildly annoyed twice. Well, then you definitely have a much smaller count than I do. Anyway, also joining Adam and I are our awesome producer and the man who definitely could find a better use for Hoshi's time. Live Long and Podcast very own Dave Mater.
Hello. Yes, there's medically speaking, there's no accounting for taste, but
That's
if
true.
you're going to taste something, it might as well be pineapple cake.
Exactly. And
yes.
speaking of pineapple, the man who we could not forget at all, the man who likes pineapple way more than Archer, Kevin Millard.
Does that mean I like pineapple more than Archer likes pineapple, or I like pineapple more than Archer?
The second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both are probably true.
Okay, fair enough. Tonight's episode is Silent Enemy. This is the 12th episode of the series. This is the episode where the crew hurries to make the ship's phase cannons operational while under attack by an unidentified vessel. And Adam, you mentioned that you were a little disappointed in a couple times in the episode. Anything in particular? Is it whenever Hoshi shows up? Because that was me.
No, it's again
okay.
Archer walking around the bridge, never looking at the screen. We're humans. We're on a mission of exploration. And he looks to the whole bridge crew for like validation. Yeah, Captain,
he's like,
we're doing that.
we are on a mission for exploration, right, guys? Like, are we on that?
No, he's just exploring his own bridge still.
Yeah, he's like,
Is this what I'm supposed to do?
We got a ready room. It's in the back.
And he's like so proud of it. Eh? We're on a mission of exploration.
What else would you be on a mission of?
Oh my gosh.
Conquest, I guess. If you were
And-
a parent.
No, that was Kirk.
Yeah.
Different
Well,
type of conquest.
I think
though.
you guys are going to go and do the other stuff, so I'll lay away from that right now. But
All right, fair enough. So might as well just get right into this episode, I guess. So we start off basically seeing them dropping the second beacon of the, I guess, soon to be the subspace network, to allow them to relay information back home much quicker. And while this happens, all of a sudden a mystery ship shows up. Just shows up out of the blue. Nice, big, and green. At one point, I thought maybe it might have been the Romulans showing up. Because, if it's a green ship, it's probably Romulan. But you never know. It turns out it wasn't. So anyway, this mystery ship shows up. And, of course, as Adam just pointed out, of course, Archer has to do his due diligence and, let him know that they're not just parking there for free. They're there on a mission of exploration. And he tries to communicate with his ship, and they basically just ignore him. And in my notes, it says, alien ignores Archer, but why wouldn't they? Clearly smart aliens. That's exactly what I have in my notes.
Was it something I said?
Yes, Archer.
If you don't want to talk, that's fine, but you dropped in on us.
You dropped in on us. That one line I don't like. You dropped in on us like it's his fucking space.
He does the dramatic pause, but for some reason it makes it less dramatic.
Yeah.
He's just not good at it.
Yeah. Anyway, what ends up happening? The problem is we can just brush over this entire first scene because for the most part it's boring, and the ship doesn't. The ship can't be scanned. And T'Pol says a really good line, which I like here, which is not every species has motives that can be understood by humans, and I like that. I thought it was a good T'Pol line. I don't know how you guys felt about that, but I liked it. Yeah.
Accurate.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course Malcolm tries to be funny because Malcolm tries to be funny. It almost felt like they wanted me to like Malcolm in this episode. I don't know if you guys got the same impression. Like all of a sudden I'm supposed to like Malcolm, and it's like I don't know anything about him.
I think they finally brought the focus to him. We really don't know that much about the guy other than he's been annoying really up until now.
Well, yeah, he really has. Like he's just been like, let's shoot stuff. Like that's pretty much what he does, right?
But I think tonight you saw sort of his usefulness, and he is an expert. He's definitely got a specialist role on the ship.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a reason why he's part of the armory, right? Like it makes perfect sense. He clearly knows his shit when it comes to this stuff.
Oh, his parents don't really know what he does, but yeah.
Or his sister, or his best friend, or anybody who's ever met him. Clearly,
Hoshi now officially knows more about him than anyone else on
ever.
Yeah.
In the history
he probably
of
knows
knowing.
more about him than like Memory Alpha or whatever the website is.
I'm really glad they finally decided to put her in an episode and gave her the super secret top priority mission of finding out someone's favorite food. Like, what are they doing with this character?
The only thing I can think of is that they really don't have anything for her to do,
But they
especially in this
did.
type of environment.
They did in this episode. They had the subspace relays. That's literally her job.
Yes, which makes perfect sense until literally it has nothing to do with anything else in the episode. Like it happens in the first 5 minutes, and then she basically suggested it right at the end again.
Until
By the way, we're
attacked.
this far back out. We might as well put another one out. It's like, yeah, no shit.
When they needed to call the Vulcans and it wasn't there, it was a problem.
That's true. Actually, that's true.
Wouldn't have stopped it for them from blowing it up. But
I'm unlike you, Jody. I like Hoshi. I think she's a good character. The writing is awful for her. Just awful.
It is. The first season is just terrible for her. And you know what? I don't mind the character. I think Linda Park is pretty nice. She seems an intelligent and very good actress, but it's the material I think here that's the issue. When I say I don't like Hoshi, I don't like Hoshi the character itself right now.
I think also
the actress isn't a problem for me.
But you're also trying to figure out whether like she wants to stay. I think tonight's episode really did emphasize that she is now a member of the crew.
Yeah, well, she could be counted on, I guess, is really kind of
but
what it
more
comes
than
down
that
to.
is like when they were going, like, I mean, not to give the episode away because we're not there yet, but they were steering back to Earth, and she could have said, "Get me off the ship," but she didn't say that.
Yeah, that's true. At this point, she's accepted that she's going to be there the whole time. Yeah. So,
hey,
that's
Dave,
true.
do you want to show a picture of that ship?
of the ship itself,
Not the Enterprise.
Yeah. Do you have a picture of the green ship?
of the green ship, yeah.
It's great.
Again, it's something that I think Enterprise does well. All the alien encounters in the ships and stuff like that show up in the show look good. They're very believable. They're cool. They're stuff we haven't seen before, which is nice. So yeah, I think overall, I think that's a decent design.
The design's good.
Very sleek.
Sure, it looks very Romulan.
And that's why I got that kind of Romulan vibe when you first see it, right?
But what is it
I already
other
knew
than,
the episode
other than the
wasn't,
color? What does it look Romulan? Doesn't have the
that swooping like
It has like
thing
kind of a
coming in.
bird like
with the wing.
yeah. I think, but most of them do.
not with the reverse wing wheel. Like this is a wing pointing in, right?
It's not a dead ringer
pointing
for
forward.
any particular design, but it's just like the colors and the fact that they're they showed up and they were quiet and they were secretive. I'm like, oh, is this the first meeting with the Romulans?
You know what I
thought it was
really liked about the design of this ship? The fact that the shuttle bays and stuff, like all the shuttle bays are on the top of the actual ship,
Mhm. That was
which
interesting.
actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Like when you're launching ships and stuff, you want to be able to launch clear of it, not be underneath it, not see what's going on, right? So it kind of makes more sense that way because it's almost like the bridge of the nose of the ship is where it actually comes out. Like you see it later on come out and do that, which I thought was really cool. So
Yeah, it was. Who were these aliens?
I don't think they're actually named.
They are not. That's my only. This is a good episode, but that is like my only problem with it. Is it reminds me a lot of Balance of Terror, but
Yes.
Balance of Terror would have been a really boring episode if we never met the Romulans.
True.
We never saw their bridge,
True.
or we never interacted with them.
Or got their perspective, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And at this, I was just like, this is so close to a great episode for me. And they did all this Malcolm Reed stuff and talking to its family.
The
and
subplot is brutal.
do anything with
The subplot
these
is brutal.
aliens, right?
Yeah. Speaking of subplot, so Hoshi finds out where the parents are of Malcolm because Archer wants to talk to them. He basically talks to the parents, which I can't remember the actress's name here, but she's in a lot of stuff. She's always like a side character. Yes, I can't remember her name, but she's in a lot of things. I don't recognize him, but I definitely recognize her, especially her voice.
Jane
her voice
Carr?
Jane Carr. That must be it, yeah. So, but anyway, she's been in stuff.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, anyway. At least I recognize her anyway. I don't know what I recognize her from, but the minute I saw her, I already knew what her voice was going to be before it even came out of her mouth.
She was in Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, among other things.
Well, I
but-
do watch that movie a lot, so
Okay, but can we talk about this whole conversation Archer has with Reed's parents, and this whole dynamic of his backstory that he comes from this long line of Royal Navy men.
Okay. Sorry, I have to stop you here because I have a note that is totally appropriate to what you're saying here. And the note says, and I quote, this is what I actually wrote: Malcolm's blood has a ton of history of semen. Is that what you were getting at, Dave?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh boy.
I'm taking you off track at this
I
point.
love the Navy jokes. Okay. This whole thing that he's some kind of a disappointment to his family because the ocean wasn't big enough. But he's joined the Space Navy, basically.
Space Navy. I like that.
Right?
But it's true. Dave's absolutely
You're not
right.
wrong. Yeah.
I don't get what what he's so upset about.
Oh, he's just a stoic British guy whose parents are always disappointed in his son and all. This
guy's basically Sarek.
Right. Yeah, he's like, Sarek, how could you, Spock? Go off there, because it seems like what Reed was doing, or as a member of this crew, would make him pretty noteworthy, actually, as one of the 80 people of the billions on Earth who could have or wanted to go on this mission. He got to, and they're like, whatever, he's not on the Navy.
Yes, his grandfather would be pleased.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like
I would have liked to know what his dad does.
I bet he's retired Navy.
He's
or
retired.
something?
Is he retired Navy?
What the hell does what does England need a Navy for anymore? Anyway, like in this century, what, like, other than
To find whales for later,
I guess extinct whales,
or before, technically, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's
Yeah, but again,
strange.
they just playing up the whole, like, we don't know our son.
This whole
at all.
subplot is just a waste of time, I think.
Okay, I was with you guys until the end, but I'll tell you why later. Okay, but I agree. I was annoyed with this whole subplot completely. I wish it never happened in the beginning.
I don't wish it never happened. I wish it was better. Like, I wish we learned more about Malcolm. Like, this is an attempt at character development, and it sucks.
Yeah, and the only
In that
character
respect,
development we got is
like-
he likes pineapple.
Yeah,
And doesn't talk to his parents.
And he's uninteresting. There's nothing interesting about him. Everybody who knows him says not very much remarkable. Great. I'm so
I think
excited to have this guy.
This is more of a foreshadowing thing because later on, if I'm not mistaken, Adam, later on we find out a lot more about Malcolm and we find out why everything's so secretive.
Well,
I imagine you would. Yeah.
A much bigger
I wasn't.
role, yeah.
I wasn't going to get to my end, but sorry guys, when they did the cake at the end,
Mhm.
I think that it really shows that Malcolm is looking for a place to fit in, and
Yes.
he sort of found it on this ship, right? But
It was nice to see him sitting around having a beer with somebody.
Yeah,
Like that was cool, I thought.
Yeah.
Because the awkward part where he's, later on when they're all sitting in the mess hall and Yoshi's kind of grilling him for information, it's a very awkward conversation.
because
I've got a hot plate in my quarters.
That I liked. That
was
I liked
funny.
that. Yeah.
It was a good joke. It was a good joke, I thought. Anyway, so Archer's trying to figure out what his favorite food is because they want to make him a birthday dinner because they figured out what his birthday is. His birthday is September 2nd. And I think this takes place 2 days before that is 2 days before.
Right. So we know he's a Virgo.
Or no, sorry, it'd be 3 days because then they went
Why
2
is that
days without
important,
seeing the
Dave?
aliens.
It's just a note.
this is things like things I'm learning about Dave Mader, and this has come up twice.
He knows all the astrology stuff.
It's in the
Fascinating.
stars. It's in the stars, Adam.
We're gonna have a
And-
conversation about this sometime because I'm dying to know more about.
When's
Dave.
your birthday?
Oh,
No,
no, you're not.
Adam.
I'm a Gemini.
Adam, you are opening a world of
You don't
hurt, my
need to
friend.
know more.
Don't
Gemini
even try.
say- Uh-oh.
If you get him loaded and get him on astrology, you're gonna have at least a 3-hour conversation.
Oh wow! Okay, all right. Good. To
I was
know.
he
married
knows
to
a
a
lot about
Gemini.
astrology.
I know about Geminis. Don't worry.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get back on topic here, guys. It's sad when I have to be the one that says it, but anyway. So basically, Archer gets nowhere with his parents. Decides to task Hoshi with this because she has nothing else better to do because she's put down the relay, and
Except she does.
I guess she has nothing to do until relay number 3.
She does.
What?
She actually does have work to do, but she's been put on this side mission
Yeah,
by
she's
Archer.
put in this assignment to find out his favorite food.
Priority
So
mission.
Priority.
Yeah, it's a priority.
And they have to use like this. They've got the new subspace relays, and this is how they're using them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the next scene we have Archer and Trip. They're walking through the ship and they're chatting about it and stuff like that. And the one thing I really liked about this conversation was he mentions that he missed dinner. Trip didn't show up for dinner, or was it the other way around?
Trip.
Can't
Yeah,
remember.
Trip didn't show up.
That's right. Trip didn't show up, and apparently T'Pol was trying to use chopsticks,
Or
and he says, "Oh, a dinner and a show." So it's like,
I thought he meant she was like playing chopsticks on the piano.
no, she was trying to use chopsticks at
Okay.
dinner.
Why would
I-
she do that during dinner when there's
I
no
don't know.
piano in the room?
Anyway, just after they have this conversation, blah blah blah, they have a conversation about obviously Malcolm as well. Do you know anything about Malcolm? Blah blah blah. He goes, no, I don't. Basically, and then eventually the alien shows back up again, the same alien that took off from the last time. It shows back up.
You missed a part though.
Oh, go ahead.
Trip got dumped. Because he
Oh,
was-
that's right. Yes, they got
Dave,
some information back, and he got
Do
dumped.
you mean the Natalie from Pensacola?
Natalie from Pensacola.
Natalie
yeah.
from Pensacola. Well, that should be a life lesson for you. Never date anybody named Natalie from Pensacola. And
No
you'll be
long
fine.
distance.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like,
She doesn't do long
What?
distance well.
who does? It's like,
Well, that's a pretty long distance.
Yeah.
my
Let's be
goodness.
honest.
Was it
and they
only
can't
100
talk.
light years?
And they can't talk. Whatever.
Yeah. So basically, the alien shows up. Mayweather makes a comment about how, he almost ran into the alien ship this time. So clearly, they're a little bit more careless than Mayweather likes, at least. Archer again tries to communicate with them. And in my notes here, it says they then blast the ship with the sound of 1,000 Karens, which is about right. It's very loud, very piercing. We don't really know what it was achieving. I guess it's just a difference in technology.
I thought it was just to sort of like throw them off their guard or
I
something.
think I think it was almost like the rumored riot control rays that they have and stuff like that, right? Where it's just annoying to the point that people can't function, which definitely looks like what happened. And then Malcolm does say something which makes me even think more that Malcolm knows what he's talking about, because he goes, literally right after they did that, they dropped their shields for a second or two. And then at that point, he did a quick scan and he has realized that they are way underpowered to deal with these people. And I think they fire on him once or twice, right?
He also talks about they have like 15, at least 15 of them on that ship.
Yeah, there's at least 15 entities on the ship. Could be more.
Yeah. So he did show some promise here. He found something.
Yeah. He clearly, Malcolm has said more in this episode than he said most of the series, which is good, I guess. So I guess this is the character development that you're asking for, Dave.
But you know what? Kevin, you were talking about the character. Kevin was talking about the character development. You remember when Next Generation again, where Worf's parents came on board?
Ugh.
Right. That was a great episode. I
love the original one was once Alexander showed up. It was
okay.
It was
no. I'm talking
brutal.
About when they first. We're worried about our son. We heard about his discommodation. That episode. Those are great.
It also reminded me of Bashir's parents coming, which is also another great episode in Deep Space Nine.
Yes.
And then so it reminded me of that, but it was kind of like,
his parents don't give a shit about him, and that's that.
Yeah.
I think all the episodes where we meet a parent of a main character are pretty memorable, actually.
Yeah. Memorable is the word. Doesn't necessarily mean good, though.
Significant. Like, I think when you meet family of any
Troy's.
character, it's...
Troy's mom.
Well, it tells you about who she is and what,
she's an awful person, but a great character. I enjoy the episodes with Lwaxana.
Me too. I
in Next Gen.
Anyway. I don't care that much for them, but...
And think about how it informs who Deanna is, right? Like the fact that she had this mother, and
I also don't care that much about Deanna either, so I guess that's probably why.
You know what? I think that Kevin's point was pretty smart, though. Is like, they had an opportunity to really do more with this character right now, but they didn't. I guess it was all,
Yeah.
But like you said, they do in the future, so fine. But it just left me wanting a little bit more out of that and asking, like, what was the point of it?
Yeah. So the alien takes a couple pot shots on them, and then they take off again, right?
Yeah, and they almost this whole part where Trip says, like, if I was working in this section, and if they had shot us like just slightly differently, this bulkhead would have blown open. We all would have got sucked into space.
Yeah.
And so like it was a close call. This was a pretty close call.
Yeah, you also get the impression from Trip. Trip is actually a bit fearful here. Like he's hitting the reality of the fact that they're sitting in literally a shell of a ship, and something could go wrong really quickly and easily. So it's time to take charge and get some shit done.
Right.
Which
you definitely got the impact, or he got the impact that people could die in this mission.
Well, and this is actually an interesting scene as well, because you also get the remorse from Archer, because Archer to date really hasn't shown that much when it comes to remorse or even empathy for the fact that people could die. And now he's really starting to show it. And even later in this episode, he starts I actually liked Archer in part of the episode, just because of how he acted. Which was good, especially when he decides he will try to call the Romulans, which comes up in a little bit.
They're all shitty about it, but they do it, so that's progress.
Yeah, he's moving. He's moving forward anyway, I guess is the key here. So Archer then takes a walk basically with T'Pol after this. They decide that the threat's getting worse, and the phase cannons that they don't have need to get installed. So he's like, I think it's time we just pull a Yui, get back to Jupiter Station, and let's get this stuff sorted out, and let's do this right, because we left in a hurry. And
okay, so this brings me to my next problem with this episode.
Next Tuesday, that's the answer.
No, so they have one.
They have a prototype.
Why haven't they tried to install it before now?
Please.
Because if they had none, they wouldn't be able to make any. So they had to have at least one. And they also had to explain why they didn't use it yet. And clearly it's because it's not installed.
They've already had battles.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
It's like,
well, that's what the torpedoes are for.
And so this is the whole thing that kills me. So Trip, gets his crew together. We're gonna have to work late hours, guys. And then So they put them up in 2 days. They're all set, ready to go.
Yeah.
They've been out.
Yeah.
How long?
Not only
have they
that, they made 2 from scratch.
Again,
They made
fantastic.
2 from scratch in 2 days. They
I'm
had a
so
prototype one, and they had to wire it all into the system in 2 days. So
And they
yeah,
did-
double shifts is an understatement.
Oh, anyhow, this
I think the engineering crew is about 80% of the ship's crew complement, apparently, because that's the only way they're going to get this shit done.
I have a question
Like
about this whole thing too, because like
Go for it.
I'm trying to understand. They mentioned Clang in this episode. What kind of got them out into the first mission in the first episode that they had
Yes.
to take the Klingon back home? But
Yes.
he was only there because of the Suliban and like the temporal Cold War.
That is the trigger, yes.
So Archer and Enterprise originally left Earth at a different time, at a different. set
So
of
the whole thing
circumstances?
at the Cold War is later on you figure out that a lot of what has happened in the series was on purpose. These were all plot points that needed to happen to get to later on. So this is something that's been planned for ages. So this is why all this stuff was happening.
So
in the
them
series.
leaving Space Dock without their weapons wasn't because of the time change or time like the I guess the past being changed in some way.
No, that was
was always
because
gonna
they
happen.
had to do it because it was either that or they killed the Klingon, which would have screwed up the time stuff.
Okay. So, but yeah, like I don't understand why they would leave or why these things wouldn't be installed or they wouldn't be priority systems or to Adam's
They were
point.
getting
why
installed on Tuesday.
They left in what, January, right? Like or something like that. Like
and now it's September.
Now we're September. So they've been out here for 6 months. And so
8.
Jaemeel says, "Congrats, Uncle Dave. Your brother
you.
just had
Yeah,
had a
that's a-
beautiful baby girl.
he didn't do anything, but Amanda did.
Well, he didn't. Amanda did. But,
yeah, but you know,
either
yes.
way,
Thank you.
we have
Thank
some
you, Jaemeel.
congrats to Uncle Dave here. So
Thank you.
congrats.
Yes,
Uncle
I
Dave.
am a. We have a new mater out there.
And of course, Sam has also let us know that Big Brother Canada 10 has been confirmed.
Okay, I won't be.
Just in
I won't
case
be on the
Dave
cast.
didn't know that.
Spoilers.
What's-
but
What's that? You
I won't
are
be
on the cast, or
cast.
you aren't?
I'm not on the cast.
You're not on the cast. Okay.
No.
All right. Well,
Uh,
can't.
but
You
it's-
know what? There's no. They obviously don't have taste, Dave. Let's be honest.
Clearly, medically speaking,
If they had
no-
taste, they would be there. And
Medically
we'd be there
speaking,
too.
there's no accounting for taste.
One
true.
side note about the phase cannons and phase
Mhm.
pistols. I like that they call them phase cannons and phase pistols
Yes.
rather than phasers. It almost shows like an evolution of language through.
Yes.
I've said it a million
time.
times.
And I
that
think that's
the
brilliant.
handheld are great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the handheld phasers. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah, they
the,
look
the
great.
ones that are in this show. I love them. They're such a cool design. I would love to get a model one if I could, but I haven't found one yet. Not
Yeah,
exactly the most popular of the shows.
I thought it was neat what they were doing with them, and I think like them having to deal with space battles and how they're going to problem solve around that, and
It sounds really silly, but the thing I really like the most about this show is the corridors. I love the look of the corridors. They're very militaristic. They're very submarine like. They're very cramped. I like that. I think
don't
it's a
look like a
great
Marriott?
first impression of one coming through. Oh, there you go. Dave's got a great picture of one right now. Like it's to me, I think that is a great way to show the evolution, because when you look at the 1701 Kirk ship, it's a much more, there's tons of room. They can even have meetings in the hallways. Like they're so big, and they're much more nicer to look at. These are very utilitarian. They're very
minimalist.
yeah, they're very minimalist. The lighting isn't anything special. It's just, well, in this shot obviously doesn't show us very much.
You
but
see how they install those handlebars in case gravity goes out?
that's right. Yeah, we got
Stepped
the
in the
handlebars there and
shower.
everything. It's fantastic. I love the little touches that they did with this show to show that this is the first show, which to me I think is great. And again, to your point, Kevin, that was one of the coolest things that they did. And the fact, like, I don't even think they call them photon torpedoes in this. They call them
Just
what is it?
Just torpedoes.
photonic.
Photonic torpedoes.
Yeah, photonic torpedoes. Yes. Anyway, so the aliens. Here, hold on. I've lost where I am on my notes here. Well, I have a note here saying the Hoshi subplot is still very, very boring. So, so anyway, yeah, it says in my notes, it says time to flip a bitch and head to Jupiter Yard for weapons. They left without full weapons, guessing next Tuesday is also a note I have in here. So, apparently the Tuesday thing has really stuck with me. I have Adam to thank for that. You mention it pretty much every single time that somebody doesn't have weapons. Well, you and Dave, I think. So anyway, we're back to so anyway, we go back to a scene where Hoshi's talking to Mayweather on the bridge, and she's like, I just can't get this information, blah 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 blah. And T'Pol, I guess, hears her talking and basically says, well, why don't you just ask him? Like, in typical T'Pol, very cold.
Because T'Pol, he's gonna think I'm hitting on him.
Well, no, that's what ended up happening, which turns into that's pretty much it. Now, does that happen before or after they're boarded?
Before.
That's before. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, you can talk about that if you want. I don't have any notes for it because I just didn't like the scene. But
yeah, I think it's like, that Reed is kind of like this workaholic guy. We definitely get that impression about him, that he doesn't socialize much with anybody. And so we're learning like that he's and then Hoshi has to figure this out about him. And I liked it, when he's just like, are you coming on to me?
It's not very appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just not sure it would be appropriate.
I've got a hot plate in my quarters.
A hot plate right in his quarters there, though.
But you know what?
And
Why wouldn't it?
Hoshi doesn't think he's going to think that.
Why does Hoshi have a hot plate in her quarters?
For dates?
For dates? Somehow I don't think that would be permitted.
But coming back to the episode where Captain Archer was talking to the
Mind you, she has a window. So.
She has a window going that way.
Yes. The stars are going the right way now, Adam. Yeah. Let's not talk about it anymore.
No, we didn't like that. Okay. But so when that episode, when they were talking to the school kids, and I think when the school kids say, so how do you do you guys date? And, everybody sort of giggled on the bridge, and
we're allowed to.
So, maybe it's inappropriate, but interesting.
Well, he didn't want the awkwardness. I mean, he goes on there saying that it would be awkward or would be whatever.
Yes.
So
the question is it just awkward for him or awkward as in part of his position?
No,
I
for
think
him.
You really get that line right with him.
I think he's an awkward man.
Yes.
You get that impression, yeah.
Like that the episode that comes later down the line where they meet like their descendants, remember? Like and whatever. And like they go, what happened to Malcolm? He's like, you died alone. You died without it ever getting married.
Died alone, you ass.
Everybody in the crew
should have said yes to Hoshi.
Not you, though. Everyone said
you should have had Hoshi cook you up some stuff and maybe make you some food.
They're like, don't we want some British DNA in the gene pool? They go, nope.
No, there's already enough semen in there. Anyway.
Moving on.
Come on, I had to get that one in there one more time. So anyway, and the note I have here is Hoshi is the least subtle person on the ship. That's the note I have. Because literally she is just not subtle at all in this conversation. And it turns out that they notice that the ship is now following them. So this mystery ship that won't talk to them but likes to scan them and all that stuff is now following them. The alien then fires on them and essentially boards them. And then you see a little bit later on, you see two crewmen get attacked in a corridor by them. These are the guys here. Can't say the CG was the best CG in the planet, but you know what? I like the design of the aliens. These are weird looking. It kind of gave me almost a Mars Attack vibe. Big brains, skinny aliens.
They look like
I felt Signs. Remember that movie Signs?
Yeah.
I try not to remember it anymore, but yeah, I
little
I
bit
hear you
of
on that one.
species 847 too.
Yeah, it was interesting they didn't. Yes. They picked non-humanoids though.
Well, they're still
well,
humanoid.
They're still pretty humanoid.
Okay,
I mean, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. And
pardon me, the ones that look like everybody else.
It doesn't. They're CG'd because they couldn't get anybody to do what those leg bends that these guys do. But but the one thing I do like about this whole attack and all that is the aliens act very much like the Borg. Like they just kind of ignore everybody. They're just kind of doing their own thing, and they eventually see I can't remember who ends up trying to shoot them, but they end up seeing them and just kind of walk away. Like,
Archer shoots them.
Oh, that's right. It's Archer. You're right.
They're like what ifs.
Yeah, they're like, way to go there, Archer. Good shot. The guy never hits anything.
Like Scott Bakula, that was
He's got the shot of a stormtrooper.
They literally just walked away very casually. Like they just
that's one of the things I have in my notes is they just don't care. Like they I guess they just feel that they're so superior to them that they just don't care. Anyway, what I have here is aliens act like Borg, no shit's given, and that's pretty much accurate, I think. The aliens leave, but right as they leave, they decided to disable one of the nacelles, which I thought was very clever on their part. But then the line that comes up, which is Phlox, when he's doing the scan of the two guys, he says that they had a rather invasive scan.
Yeah, he's like a little rough on these guys.
We all know this
residual neurological damage.
This clearly means butt stuff. That's what it means. Okay, probes right up the bum. That's what it is. All right. I don't know if we're a family show, but we're gonna say that and that. And
we aren't.
We aren't. Okay, good. Well, if I'm on it, we probably aren't. But what I like is right after when we see this scene, this is where we really see a lot of remorse out of Archer. He's realized that he is playing with people's lives here. And now he's going to start being smart about his decisions, because almost everything up to this point has been kind of like, I'm Archer and I can do it. And I think it's just a little better to see here. I don't know about you guys, but I thought there was remorse here. He's genuinely worried about his crew.
Well, I think he's been, his confidence has been shooken.
Yes.
I would agree with that. And I think that them going back to the station to get some upgrades and to install the rest of their systems is a good thing. But the way that Trip and even like Mayweather Reed, they act like it's like surrendering or giving up.
So you got to remember, you got your chief engineer who prides himself in keeping this ship tip-top shape, and you have the armory expert, which clearly hasn't been doing his job because he had a lot of time to put those phase cannons in and he hasn't put them in yet. So I'm not totally sure what Malcolm's been doing, but he hasn't been putting in phase cannons. So if you're not shooting at things all the time, you have stuff to do.
It does make me wonder. Yeah, what do security and tactical officers do when there's no fighting?
Training.
Well, they should be
all
checking
they're supposed
systems,
to do is training. Yeah,
all that
exactly.
stuff. Yeah, that's what in real world it does. They do training exercises. Keep their shit quick. That kind of stuff. But what has Malcolm been doing? Like he's been eating pineapple and not putting in phase cannons. That's all.
Not getting to know people clearly,
and not getting to know people either. So we have all that.
But to your point, though, Malcolm and Trip find this a very big offense, and now, okay, this is it's like they've been kicked in the butt, and they're going to get going now.
Well, this is a retreat, right? Like that's really what this is. This is a retreat. We're going back. We're going to get properly fitted back up because clearly my armory officer doesn't know how to put in a phase cannon until I kick him in the ass, and the guy who runs the entire ship doesn't seem to be able to do that either. So these two guys who literally are responsible for almost everything on the Enterprise, let's be honest, they've clearly haven't been doing their job, or they should have been doing their job. I don't know which one is better, but they've been out for 6 months now. Like this is, what is it? 6 months they've been out now?
Roughly 6 months. Yeah.
Because they mentioned it in the last episode. How long they've been out for?
Well,
Is it 6 weeks or 6 months?
It's September 2nd or 1st or so during the events of this episode.
Yes.
We do give the dates, and they launched.
So when did they launch?
They launched on April 16th, 2015.
Okay, so they've had a couple months anyway. Easily.
6 months, yeah.
6 months.
About 6 months, yeah. So in 6 months, if they could get this thing installed in 2 days, then they had plenty of time to put a phase cannon in.
Mm-hmm. They built this ship for years, right? It took years to build this ship.
Yeah, it was a 5-year build. Yeah.
Yeah.
So because they mentioned that in the first episode, I think it was 5 years.
One thing we get in this episode that I also like is the idea that the Vulcans have had warp capability for a long time.
Yeah.
When she says, things were different.
It was a different time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't as many warp capable species she mentions, right? Yeah, which makes perfect sense. If you're out and you're fairly alone, you're not running into a lot of this shit. Now there's a lot of people doing it. Right?
Because they're not curious about anything. They've stalled right where they are.
Wait, look at a stupid comet. But we know from Discovery that the Vulcans ran into the Klingons at some point, right? And every time they ran into the Klingons were blowing them up until the Vulcans started fighting back. So the Vulcans did have to learn how to fight, and so I think that some of the stuff T'Pol could be telling Archer and giving guidance to, but
original series.
Sam wants to know whether the original series or Enterprise is better. You know what, Sam? I think TOS is a very good series, but it's got a lot of crappy episodes. And the same can be said about at least season 1 of Enterprise. But I actually like the plot points in Enterprise better. I think it's written much better later on. Whereas in the 3 seasons of TOS, I don't think it was very well written in a lot of. It's very mixed bag. There's really great written episodes, and then there's episodes, which any series has, I guess. But I just think there's much less good written episodes in the original series versus Enterprise. At least that's my opinion. What do you guys think?
I think you got to take them as completely different. I wouldn't.
Well, they are.
Them.
Yeah.
Having sat with you guys and watching the original series every episode, you're right, Jody. There was some episodes that just were terrible, but man, what a kickoff! Here we are, 50 odd years later, talking about.
Oh yeah, it started this, right? We wouldn't have this without that.
You have to think about original series as being a product of its time as well.
Yes.
Like Ted used to always say.
Ted always said,
we didn't know women were getting the We thought they would always be subjected.
But
we thought women were going to be treated like this in the 2000s. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
groundbreaking.
I agree.
It was a groundbreaking show.
And to Sam's point here, he likes that original series. You can watch any episode. You don't have to watch them in order. You don't have to know what's going on.
Very true.
And I agree with you on that. I think that, and I think Enterprise is kind of, at least the first 2 seasons of Enterprise, I think they were trying to go for an episodic thing, but it also made the show less compelling because I think the more modern TV often dictates that. And I think shows like Discovery struggle with that. How do I have a good episode where this is just an episode, but I have to make this for the binge watchers who are going to watch this whole season on a run, and I need to create a bigger arching story and
so then they're like, okay, how can we make a 15-hour movie and break it down? That's pretty much what they're trying to do, right?
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And even Deep Space Nine, who kind of invented this, the idea of a serialized science fiction TV show, even them, they would have this is what's kind of the boring stuff this week, Lita and Rom, or I don't know, worrying about whatever their interior decorating.
We'll have an episode about Nog. Yeah.
We'll have an
Deep Space Nine is my absolute favorite, but there are a lot of not good episodes.
But that can be said about any series. Doesn't matter what series it is. You can't find one series where every episode.
That's the beauty of being able to binge watch stuff, is that you're not.
We live in a great world for that.
Yeah, you're not. You don't get. I think I said it a few weeks ago. You'd watch that one episode and go, "Oh, really? I got to wait another week for another good one."
Exactly.
I think for me though, it comes down to the characters, and I think that those original series characters, and more specifically the captain, I think I just rather watch Kirk than Archer. Kirk and Spock and them, right? Even though I like,
sometimes I definitely I agree with that 100%, but then there's other times where you watch some of those Kirk episodes and you're just like, this is terrible, and you're like, I'd rather watch Archer, and that's saying something.
I don't know.
I think it still comes down to personal preference. What's that?
I'm a big fan of overacting. So
well, if you want overact,
the bad episodes are great. And
there's no man that does it better than Shatner. That's for sure. Even McCoy in some of the
gives him a run
episodes
for his money. That's for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to this, guys. Good clip. So yeah, anyway, as I was saying, Archer I think is getting a little bit more humble here. We're starting to realize that he's understanding what the stakes are in this game now. Where before he was kind of like, let's just go out there,
throw caution to the wind.
Throw caution to the wind, exactly.
Wind dancing.
Yeah, exactly. So they end up getting, we see a little kind of, I guess it's what do they call those things where it's get a little bit of clips of them doing some stuff, and then all of a sudden they have a face cannon. So they go.
Montage?
What's that?
Yeah. A montage.
Montage. That's it. That's the word I'm looking for. See, Dave. That's why you're better than me.
Take a little off the top, Jody. Take a little off the top.
What's that?
Just
Take a little off the top. Remember? So they flip to the moon. They're going to test the phase cannon.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And make sure there's not even a microbe down there, Dave.
Yeah, I like it. I like how they did mention that though, because let's be honest, if this was next gen, they'd be like, fire in the fucking planet, who cares? Oh look, there's an asteroid, let's just shoot it. It's remember when they shot the episode? I can't remember which episode of next gen it was, but they shot all the shots were off, and they had to go chasing down one of the torpedoes. Which actually I think also happened in this series, did it not?
The conversation though with Reed and Trip, about what's acceptable safety. Oh, by the way, this is a very close talk they're having here. It
is. It's a very tight frame, isn't it?
Yeah. Come on, guys, just kiss.
A little too tight, maybe.
But it's it's just because basically Reed wants to run the impulse engines as the power conduit through the weapons to make them more powerful, and Trip's like, that could be dangerous, or it could blow up the systems, and they ultimately that's what they have to do to win this space battle later on. But I thought that was just how they have to kind of think about those things, what's it going to take to win a fight in space, and what are the risks around that, and that was good. I think they built that part of the writing well, and sort of the problem.
Yeah,
solving.
I agree for sure.
And asserting chain of command here, which is good.
Well, and I like how as they're arguing though, they are respecting each other's rank. Like they are, even though obviously Trip does overrank him, but I like how they kind of add the positions at the end. Commander,
Lieutenant.
Yeah, yes, Lieutenant. I'll decide this. That kind of thing.
But it also really speaks to the whole point that maybe they shouldn't have done this install, because really not sure how it's going to work, right? And
well, and I like the scene that when they do the testing of it, because when they do the testing of it, they shoot it, they end up blowing up like tons of shit, and on top of that, they short out a whole bunch of systems. So at that point, we think, wait, they are incompetent, and then it turns out it's actually not them. So for a second there, I'm like, oh yeah, they are incompetent. That's maybe why they haven't had.
No, but you can see oh shit, man, this thing is
Well, you
powerful.
especially look at Malcolm's face, right? Malcolm's face is like, what the fuck just happened, right? It's so obviously you're getting a little bit more emotion.
Archer's going, do it again.
Yeah, and Archer's just like, we can do this. Let's do this, right? And then it turns out that it was the alien technology that was sitting in the shuttle bay, which I had to actually put a reference in here that says, and here's the thing that I put in my notes. Figured out alien device left over in Launch Bay 2. Apparently no security cameras are in Launch Bay 2. If you had an alien presence come into Launch Bay 2, take over and probe invasively two of your crewmen and then leave, wouldn't you look at the footage?
Yeah, this was the anal probe
you
they
know
installed
that
on the
something in
Enterprise.
there? What's that?
This is the anal probe they installed on the Enterprise.
Yes, this is the probe for the Enterprise itself. Yes,
which apparently
looks like just a 360 camera, but whatever.
But the thing that confused me about this was that this is what made the phase cannon so powerful during the test. But then, Archer just shoots it, and I'm like, isn't that a little reckless? Couldn't this have blown up half the ship?
Yes. Yes, I thought the exact same thing. It's like,
or maybe
you don't know anything about this.
They could use. Again.
It could have been an incendiary device. You literally shoot it and could have blew up the entire ship.
Yeah, but let's learn. Where's the explorer in him? Let's go on, find out what's about.
Well, they have the ability to beam it off the ship. Why didn't they just do that?
He keeps getting this great technology and losing it.
Yes. Yeah. Shouldn't you at least analyze this thing? Maybe it's something very useful.
Seal it in Daniel's quarters. No need to see anything here.
Yeah, just put it in Daniel's quarters. We'll deal with it later. But yeah, so anyway, they figure out that this alien device is what caused the issue. And then at this point, we go back to sickbay with Phlox.
Oh wait, but they also figure out that this is what they're using to spy on them, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, and he does the little. He's like, turn on this security camera, which they didn't have before, because if they had that before, they would know that somebody put something there. But there. Oh, you even got the little clip here, do you?
Yeah. Well, just
is this the replay, or is this the when he was talking to them?
This is the first time. This is the first time he's talking to them.
This is the first time. Yeah.
They troll him with his own recording later on.
That was
which I thought was great.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that. And I also like the look on Archer's face, because when he sees the recording happen, it goes back to him for a split second, and the split second is just kind of him like, oh. Like,
I'm surprised he even saw it. He's never looking at the screen.
Yeah.
I can't even believe he was looking at the screen.
I would love it if he just looked on the bridge and he was like, "Is that me?"
He's like,
"What's that mean?"
But it's fear. I mean, I think
there was a bit of a fear there. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, for sure. So,
hey, Jody.
Anyway,
Jody,
at this point,
you forgot one little dialogue that was great with Archer and Trip talking to each other. And Archer was telling him about trying to reach their Vulcans for help, and they couldn't. And Trip, talks to him and says,
wouldn't they have like that? Yeah.
Are your ears a little pointier than usual?
Yes.
A little pointier than usual.
That was pretty good.
Trip does get some pretty good one-liners every so often, doesn't he? But yeah. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, I did skip over that. So we end up getting Hoshi with Phlox on one of the only scenes that we have for Phlox, because I guess next week's episode we get a lot more Phlox, so I guess they had to tone him down for this one. So anyway, we get Phlox, and Phlox puts two and two together and realizes that Malcolm is taking some sort of antihistamine or something to get rid of a certain protein from a plant species, which turns out to be pineapple. So, and the reason why he takes it is because I guess he ingests pineapple and he's not supposed to. So Phlox goes illegally into a medical record, which I'm sure he would have been written up for at least, regardless of whether Hoshi has a plan to do this or not. What I'm more concerned about is the amount of booze that Phlox has in his medical bay. If you look at the background there.
Are those liquor bottles?
They must be liquor bottles.
I don't know. Those look like if they got liquor in them, somebody's taking those.
Well, Phlox has already polished one off today. That's why he's so smiley all the time.
I like how she's like, you spent a lot of time in the mess hall. And he's just like, guilty. I love
certainly I do.
Yeah.
I do like that food.
That booze is for medicinal purposes only.
Yeah. Just disregard this. This is for the slugs that we pick up. But anyway, so the aliens then show back up again, because that's what aliens do apparently. So at this point, we use the cannons, and they're not very effective on the first shot, and they barely do any damage to them, basically just shield damage. Then after that, they figure out Trip gets this revelation that he can purposely overload them, and when he overloads them, he can then absorb the power and rechannel it. So he then uses it. But this could be, the first signs of the weapons that we're used to later on in the series, in Star Trek itself. So maybe this is how they made them more powerful. Trip might have just invented this, because those phase cannons are pretty useless on these guys. So who knows? They were probably useless for everybody. But now that they have a new way to channel this power, they take a shot, they cause some stuff, and I guess the aliens end up fleeing, right? They end up taking off.
They finish them off with a torpedo, and then they're crippled and they go.
That's right. Yeah, they're crippled and they go. So they still use those torpedoes, even though they have these fancy phase cannons. Well, the prototype and the ones that they built in 2 days that they couldn't have built in 6 months. But anyway, so then we go to a shot of basically them drinking beer in an armory. I don't think I have to explain why this is a bad idea. But anyway, they're drinking beer in an armory. And
is beer flammable?
You don't generally get intoxicated around firearms and weapons. It's generally a frowned upon.
All the Americans.
What if they're on, they're on the stun setting?
What's that?
If they're on the stun setting, it's okay, right?
Oh, well, maybe they'll just get drunk and stun each other for a while. That'll be fun. But anyway.
That'll be Lower Decks.
Yeah, well, I hope Lower Decks does something like that because that'd be funny. So anyway, Hoshi then shows up with this crate as they're drinking, and Archer makes a comment as she's walking in, like, don't get used to drinking on the job, guys. Blah blah blah. Ha 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 ha. And then at that point, Hoshi shows up with this crate, and it has the birthday cake in it. Now, who the hell has a white icing birthday cake with pineapple in it?
Malcolm Reed.
That was the most offensive thing in this episode. I would never eat that cake. Would any of you eat that cake? You would want a cake with pineapple?
Wait. What's your problem here? That there's white icing
That's
on
pineapple, and it's got like white frosting on it, and some terrible red written frosting on it. It just looks gross.
I don't understand. It could be.
It's like blood red. It's like they want him dead or something.
Red rum.
Red rum.
What color do you think the cake is?
The cake itself was like yellow inside.
With a white icing. What do you got? You can't put chocolate icing.
You know what, Dave? I feel about cakes like you feel about uniforms. They have to work, and this just doesn't work for me. Could they not just give him like something with pineapple in it?
Like a pineapple upside down cake?
I want to know who made the cake.
Perfect example of what they should have done.
Where's the upside down?
Probably Chef
pineapple upside down cake would have been
if
perfect.
Chef made it, he needs to go back to school because that's terrible.
If you've ever done icing, it's pretty hard actually.
I know.
I have done icing.
But
I don't think I could have done it any better than these guys did, but the icing really isn't the most offensive thing. It's the pineapple cake that bothers me.
God. Listen, she was.
She didn't make the damn cake. We know she didn't. This was made by the chef that apparently is really good.
In her quarters. Come on, she could have made it.
Oh, she made it with her hot plate? Give me a break. This is the most offensive thing in this entire episode is that cake.
Really?
Yes.
Yes, you take an antihistamine just to eat it.
I thought that, they took the time to figure it out. They made him a cake. He's feeling part of the crew now.
But Dave just gave you a perfect example of what they should have did. Why didn't they just give him a pineapple upside down cake?
No. It's not the cake that's the problem. It's that Malcolm likes it. That's why nobody likes him.
Oh, maybe that's it. Anyway, that's the episode.
What is his reaction? He's kind of like, oh.
He was very happy. He's like, it's my favorite.
How did you know?
He looks
like,
more
pineapple.
How
did you know? He's like, I have my sources.
He doesn't look
Well, why didn't she just say, I illegally went into your medical file and found out that you take an antihistamine for pineapple? But she's not going to say that because then she's going to get written up. Because Malcolm would be the kind of guy who would write him up.
Fox also said he puts peanut butter on his pancakes, so I would imagine anything with peanut butter he would like too.
No wonder why this man doesn't get sat with in the cafeteria.
Mm-hmm.
He probably reeks. Eating pineapple on pancakes all the time.
Especially with that allergy.
But you know what? In fairness, like the cake mixed with that beer would taste a little weird.
Very. Ugh. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Anybody else have anything to say about this episode before we get into the fun facts?
I think it was a really good start. It finally showed Archer's humility a bit.
Yes, I agree with that.
It gave us a tease into Reed finally, because again, he's been sort of a boring character up until now. And for all the Hoshi lovers out there, it gave her a role today.
Not that it was a good role, but I guess it's still a role.
Very important, Hoshi. I can't ask T'Pol, so I have to ask the other woman. Can you?
Well, T'Pol probably would have got the answer in 10 minutes. It wouldn't have took 3 days.
Yeah, that's true.
And we didn't even get into the fact that she called his sister.
Who didn't know anything about him either.
His best friend.
Could have got Mayweather to do it. Mayweather would have just been like, he likes sprinkles. I like sprinkles. Sprinkles.
Did you know that when I was on a shipping barge, I like sprinkles?
Did you notice? Yeah, like Mayweather wasn't invited to the party either, or Fox for that matter.
No, it was only those guys.
Yeah,
even T'Pol wasn't invited.
He's not old enough to drink beer.
Yeah, it was very selective.
T'Pol wasn't invited at all, and T'Pol is one of the highest ranking members.
I wouldn't invite T'Pol anywhere that's supposed to be fun because she just looks miserable the whole time. It makes you,
Yeah, that's true.
Phlox though, he'd be down for cake.
But you know what's
he
not
would be.
miserable, Adam?
Fun facts with
Fun
Adam.
facts.
Fun facts.
Fun facts with
Do it.
Adam.
Okay. All right, ready? Are we ready? Oh, we got it. Okay.
I'm ready
The
enough
choice-
anyway.
Okay, the choice never to reveal the motives of the aliens who attacked the Enterprise herein was in Andrew Bormas. Sorry, I can't say his word. Bormanis, whereas he was a director, a bit of a risk. He felt that the episode's unexplained depiction of extraterrestrial life was realistic, and later commenting, "I think our earliest encounters with alien life forms would leave us utterly baffled." I kind of agree with that.
I like it. I think that was a great thing to have. I don't need to know what these guys need. I just want to see the conflict.
Yep. Dominic Keating, who plays Reed, approved of this how this outing ponders his specifics about his character's personality. And he says it's a terrific setup, really. Rather than an episode that puts it all on the table at once, it sort of teases, and that's how we really like this. And because we all know that we learn more about Reed in the future, so it is a tease. And like I said earlier, myself, I kind of liked it because we now finally get at least a taste of him and how useful he is in his job, his primary job. The aliens referred by several members of the art department as shroomies.
Shroomies.
Shroomies were designed by Dan Curry and
well, they got those eyes that poke out.
Well, it's the head, I think, because they were. Dave, you got a picture?
Yeah,
of
they got kind of a mushroom head thing going on.
I gotta find them again. 1 second.
They remind me of the aliens. If you ever played the game, well, they weren't aliens, I guess, but if you ever played the game The Last of Us, it's about basically zombied people that are infected with a fungal infection. And a lot of the enemies like that look like stuff like that. So it's kind of that's where I drew it anyway.
So when he shoots the alien very briefly, yeah, you can see like he has like basically a shield that like around him that's activated.
Yes.
Yeah. So
he's got a very Borg-like thing.
Yeah.
I guess they're kind of shroom-like in their head.
I like the fact that they don't have like the standard facial features either, which is good.
Well, that's
I think it's because whoever drew that was on shrooms. That's it.
It's very, very good observation.
Bad trip for them.
Bad trip for sure.
Originally, this episode was to be titled Call to Arms, but it was changed before airing when someone realized it was a Deep Space Nine episode with the same name.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. By the way, we already made that. Oh, okay.
Michael was talking about the guy with the Bible. He wasn't there.
No.
During that.
No. Yeah. But there has been at least one example of two episodes in Star Trek having the same name.
Yes.
Because that came up on
what, Dave?
It's First Contact.
A couple other things. The episode takes place 1 week before the previous episode, Cold Front, which we talked about last week. The ship that attacks the Enterprise is the same configuration as numerous Kovalan ships that attack the Enterprise in the subspace corridor in the third season.
I never put that together.
Yep.
Kovalan.
We'll have to remember that in a year and a half?
Yeah, it's gonna be a while before we talk about that one.
Yep.
That one's on you, Dave. Remember that one.
All right.
Dave will. The episode this episode establishes that Malcolm Reed was born on September 2nd.
Virgo.
And Mark Luttrell's contention that Pisces, right, Dave? Is that right? Pisces?
I'm a Pisces.
Oh, see, I don't know anything.
As is Jody, but
True.
No. He's a Virgo, which would be the opposite of Pisces, which means if we sat down, we'd get along, Jody, with Reed. We'd get each other.
It's true.
Mark Luttrell, who
if
is
you believe that.
Reed's best friend, he basically said that Reed dislikes fish, and that's later disproved what I've seen in Shuttlepod 1, where Reed's first choice of emergency rations is sea bass.
Oh, all right.
His friend didn't know him very well.
And here's your, I think Dave or Jody or one of you guys were talking about how you found Phlox a little bit, unethical, but despite stating that medical records are confidential, Phlox appears to leave Reed's file on display when he leaves.
I'm doing everything I can.
He clearly doesn't have the same. Medical things that we have here. Yeah. When it comes to security.
Out of all the Star Trek episodes he has written, Bormanis named this episode as one of his favorites. He cited that this episode does not clarify the aliens' motivations and is one of his favorite aspects of the story.
So he wrote 7 Voyager episodes, including Demon and I don't know, a bunch of Human Error.
You know the problem with Voyager is no matter what you name the episode, I still won't remember it. Like I remember like DS9 episodes by their name, and I remember Next Gen episodes, but for some strange reason, I can never remember Voyager episode names.
Demon's the one with the demon planet, and they were.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know that one.
Right, so like he has some good ones.
That was a good episode.
Yeah, I think
he's got some writing chops. Then
Andre Bormanis is all right. This is his first Enterprise episode though that we got.
Is it his last?
No, his last one's Terra Prime.
Really?
Okay, I'll leave you with this one this week, Jody. This episode achieved a Nielsen rating of 3.7 and it was watched by an average of 6.1 million viewers.
Which isn't bad.
Not bad.
For 2002. Yeah. Oh, and Adam, this is the first episode of 2002. Isn't it?
Yes. Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
I think so.
Well, and I screwed up my intro because I think I said 20 years.
No, it's okay.
But anyway, that's fine.
All in all,
mind you, I say it's over 20
years.
I'm
going to segue your ratings because I'm ready.
All right, let's rate her.
Time for ratings.
All right, Jody, where do you want to take us here on Silent
You know
Enemy?
what? Now that I've talked with you guys more about this, I think maybe I'm being a little too hard on this episode. You know what? I'm going to give this a 7.8. It's a pretty good episode.
Adam?
I want to take my last week's down because I like this episode more.
Really?
Can I do that?
Yeah, sure.
Of course you can.
All right, I'm going to go down to 7.5 for last week and then 8.5 for this week.
All right. See, I gave 8 last week, 8.5, which I did like. I liked this like equally, I'd say. So I give it about an 8.5.
And then there's Kevin.
It's Kevin. I love it.
You know what we got to do? We got to get a clip of every single time we ask him to do a rating because he does a sigh a lot. We can just do like a montage of sighing.
He's like, what do I want to say about this episode exactly?
This isn't a bad episode, but both stories left me wanting 6.5.
Oh,
you wanted more out of both of them, right?
Both stories, yeah.
6.5. I'm just checking the IMDb.
He still hasn't
score.
killed it though, because like even with our ratings, it's still fairly high for an average episode for us.
And you know what you also have to do for Kevin is like say how he starts it off, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah. Every time.
Yeah,
just so you
hate
know, there was no hate.
None of that. We should do some merch.
So far is there are aspects that I really like, but it is still just leaving me wanting.
Welcome to season 1. Kevin.
Season
That's
1.
all I can tell you.
And would we say this is a read episode? I guess, right? It's the closest thing we've had to one.
I think it's a read, and yeah,
just make it a Hoshi episode.
It's kind of a Hoshi.
Not
episode.
a Hoshi episode. Well, I guess it is in a way.
No, they had.
It's everybody.
How many
It's
episodes?
everybody but Mayweather. Just put that.
We're 12 in, right? So really,
everybody but Mayweather and T'Pol.
This is episode 12. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so she was only really in 1 before that one.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
She was the little sluggo. Remember the little sluggo?
Yeah. And then she was in Broken Bow, but
not really.
Not a lot.
Yeah, well, everybody got a little bit of an intro in Broken Bow, though. With the exception of Malcolm. Malcolm, really, they didn't cover him very much. He just kind of showed up.
We need a T'Pol episode.
Oh, we're getting T'Pol episodes. Don't you worry. Speaking of the next episode, the next episode is called Dear Doctor, which is actually a really good episode. So if you're a fan of Phlox, this is a Phlox episode. This is the crew encounters an alien race in desperate need of medical and scientific assistance, but Dr. Phlox refuses to treat them because of his ethical beliefs.
This is one of the best episodes. This is one of the episodes I remember
very cool
watching,
episode, yeah.
Going, this is like when what the idea of the Prime Directive really needs to be and why they need it, but that means that Archer and the gang are going to be kind of bad for a week.
Yeah. And Sam let us know that the Paradise Syndrome is one of his favorite episodes.
What did he also say earlier? He said that the acting in original series reminds him of acting you would find in a show made for preschoolers. Well,
That was the 60s.
It was the 60s. They didn't know. Come on.
They didn't know any better. Ask
They didn't know
Ted
there would be
Mater. He'll tell you.
preschool.
Did you see Batman?
Batman 66.
Another one of my
Do
favorite
not-
shows.
Do not
The
knock
overacting,
Batman.
amazing.
It's no Gilligan's Island, Sam. It's not like the thespians on that show, but it's they got to find their way.
The villains on Batman were the best. Batman sucked, but the villains, such great acting.
So I have to ask Sam if he's still listening. Ginger or Marianne? What's your preference?
Ginger,
Well, we're gonna have to wait for
Marianne.
him to comment. So, while we're waiting for Sam to give us his reaction on this one, we're going to ask Dave. Dave,
Yes, sir.
I heard through the grapevine that there's more than one show, even though this is the most important show on Live Log and Podcast.
Of course.
There's other episodes. I think there's one that happens tomorrow. It's very, very overlooked. Nobody likes it, but you might as well plug it anyway.
Yes, tomorrow we'll be talking about Star Trek Deep Space Nine at 9, as we do every Tuesday night, 9-ish, with Jeff Mater and the crew over there.
You
including,
might not have Jeff Mater for a little bit, but
Well, we'll see. Yeah, he hasn't told me one way or the other.
he's a new father, so
He is a new dad,
congratulations.
and I don't know, he can take the time off if he wishes. He hasn't indicated. So, but we're supposed to be on tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about what is the episode tomorrow night, Kevin? I think it's
I don't remember.
It's with
These,
Quark?
I don't know about you, Adam, but these Tuesday guys really need to get their shit together. What do you think, Adam?
We're talking about the
They
assignment.
don't have the production value of Monday, that's for sure.
So we're gonna be
Monday's
talking
pretty
about-
slick. Monday's pretty slick.
Tomorrow's night's the episode. It's the assignment. We're gonna be talking. That's the one where Keiko becomes possessed by the paw
yeah.
race, and
I'm
O'Brien's
sorry.
forced to do some bad things for her.
Oh, I'm
So-
sorry.
No,
It's a pretty good
I'm not
episode.
sorry. It's a good
Pretty
episode.
good episode.
It's probably
It's
the
a
best
Keiko
episode,
episode. It can't be good.
but it's not really Keiko. It's mostly a paw race.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
So Rosalind Chow gets to play kind of a different role in the episode. I'm interested to talk about that one tomorrow night. We're now into season 5 of Deep Space Nine at 9-ish. And then Thursdays, we often talk about the newest episode of Star Trek. Right now, that is Star Trek Discovery, as the 4th season continues. And I don't know if you know this, guys, but Live Long and Podcast's own Michael Chan was on the show last
What an
Thursday.
announcement. What an announcement that was. That was
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah,
It turns out they actually know their shit.
Yes, in the episode All In, which was the 8th episode of Star Trek Discovery's 4th season. Here's a little clip from him, Michael Chan, talking to Oded Fair.
Are we allowed to play this? Or
Do you have
we
any
get
idea
sued?
where it is?
Negative, sir. It's Fort Johnson.
Any idea where it's headed?
Not yet, sir. All available personnel are looking.
That's definitely Michael Chan.
It's Michael Chan.
No question.
He's one
I've
of those
authenticated
lieutenants
it. It is legit.
where the commanding officer comes in and goes, "What's happening? Do you have any answers?" He goes, "No, I don't know anything." That was what Michael did. So,
Hey, you know what though? He's done something that none of us have done, which is beyond one of your childhood
He's part
fantasy
of
shows.
He's in the canon.
he's in the
He's
canon. He's in the canon now. So you got to respect the canon. He exists.
Exactly. That's amazing. It's good work. Good work,
He's a
Michael.
32nd century human, probably. So,
I
yeah.
know this.
it's-
He could be in other shows now. Who knows?
So we got somebody from Star Trek Discovery on our Star Trek Discovery podcast.
You
pretty
can't get
exciting.
more legit than that.
No, we got the
Nobody else
inside.
has that. I
Now-
guarantee
but-
you.
Now we're going to be asking Michael more pointed questions on that show. What happens next, Michael? We know you know.
And
Yeah,
he's going to
but
tell
he's
you
not
he's
gonna
under
say-
NDA and he can't say anything. So that'll be the end of that.
Yeah, exactly. Before I used to ask him questions and he would go, "Oh, I can't tell you." And
That's
now
right.
it's- Yeah. Anyway,
He doesn't have a
professional.
he doesn't have a page yet on Memory Alpha, but he has he's definitely in the white. He's in the white.
If he doesn't
font.
have a page, I'm going to make one.
they've made a page for everybody, like even like
Yeah.
Anson, who walks in the background one time. So there's a page. There will be a page for him eventually.
And
also,
he's a named character too, right? So
he just lieutenant at the Starbase is his name. Right?
oh, okay. They just gave him that.
Yeah, headquarters ops officer.
I think we should make up a name for him.
Michael
But
Chan.
anyway, that can happen later.
Yeah. Baby. But yeah, it's exciting. So he's on that one. Star Trek Prodigy, we've also been talking about. They're on hiatus right now, but we talked about the whole all the episodes to date so far, about 10 of them in Star Trek Prodigy's first season. So check that out, as well as all the new shows. Star Trek Picard coming up in March.
Can't wait.
And we'll be talking about that with Jody and Adam. And then Strange New Worlds after that. We'll see who's on that panel.
I might be.
You'll do Strange New Worlds? Okay, great.
I might.
And then often we do Star Trek Radio Theater, which is when we reenact these scripts. We do like an audio play, a radio play of the episodes. And for Valentine's Day, we're going to be doing looking for Parmok in all the wrong places, a Deep Space Nine episode that we watched just recently, actually, on our Deep Space Nine at 9ish podcast. Kevin going to be playing Quark. I'll be playing Worf. My cousin Davin coming in to play Bashir. We got Discovery Zone Michael Chan coming in to play Keiko, and Thopak and Cisco and Odo. Because one thing that Michael did tell us was that he originally auditioned for the Changeling in Star Trek Discovery before he was cast as the human ops officer. And I said, well, somebody can cast you as a Changeling, and that's me. Anyways, so we got that Saturday night, February 19th, 2022 at 9:30 p.m. We'll be doing this read. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. And check that out. And then, what am I doing here? And then Jody, our next radio theater, our next edition of Star Trek Radio Theater coming up March, was it 4th, I think, or 5th? We said we're going to do it. March 5th, we're going to be doing it.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be Hide and Q from Next Generation's first season. You'll be playing Q. And we also have Steve Shives coming back to play Riker for that episode. So he liked it enough. He's coming back. He's coming back. So that's good. Big fan of Steve. You and Steve, you're going to be giving him the powers of the Q. Yes, and you know what? I look forward to giving him the powers of the Q. Yeah, and it's going to be a great radio theater episode just because it's first season and it's ridiculous. So it's it's terrible. The dialogue alone should be good for a radio theater episode. Don't fret, Riker. I love that line. Don't fret, Riker. I can't decide how I'm going to play Q though. I'm either going to just do a normal kind of Q voice or I'm going to do Big Gay Al from South Park. I haven't decided yet. One of the two. I think you just have to be a cocky douche kind of guy to be Q. Right? Oh, so me. Okay, thank you. I don't want to tell you how to perform him. Jody Simpson on the golf course. Yeah. I am pretty cocky on a golf course, that's for sure. Boy, are you ever. Yeah, so you're on the golf course, and you got. Adam, here's the question: am I allowed to be cocky on the golf course? Whatever you need to do. Hey, I scored pretty good. Yep. You know what I really enjoy though? I really enjoy being behind Dave's group on the golf course. Yeah, but not so much here. And then what else? We have Super Mater Brothers Podcasting. That's our channel where we talk about movies and TV not related to Star Trek with Jeff Mater and Jaemeel Robinson. Right now we're covering Celebrity Big Brother 3. We're not doing every episode right now because it's on like 6 times this week. And I'm not doing 6 podcasts. So we're only doing one to check in this week on Wednesday. Check that out. It's just too much. The Celebrity Big Brother is so rapid fire. And then Trivial Debates, our monthly show where we argue about movies, TV, sports, in a game show format. We just had Adam and I competing in the last episode. We already have our next episode coming up February 27th. Just after your birthday, Jody. It is. And we have Jeff Mater hosting, but he will be giving you no birthday present. He said you have to earn it. As you're competing against Jaemeel Robinson and Max Duda. By the way, Adam, I have to thank you. I understand that you're supporting me on this one. I am. Unlike you, because I heard that on a previous podcast, so I appreciate your support. And Michael's going for Jaemeel, and we said nobody's going for Max. No one supports Max, and that's fine. All right, poor Max. Also, check out Davin's. Don't say poor Max. He deserves what he gets. Check out Davin's podcast, Locutor's a Trek, his own Star Trek channel where he talks about all kinds of different Star Treks, trivia. He does writers' room pitches, all kinds of great stuff. There's over there. There's a lot of stuff on that channel, yeah. At Locutor's a Trek, and then X-Men, the animated series rewatch called X-Rated, where he talks about all those shows in order. I was going to tune in, and he had to preempt the one that he was going to do. I was going to be the first one I was going to tune in, and he had to cancel it. Yeah, he moved. He had to move, and he had internet issues, I guess. Yeah, so. I think he's back tomorrow, and then I think I'm going to be on next week for that one. Nice. So, All right, and that's all our shows and our plugs
right, thanks,
and
Dave.
everything else. So thanks, Jody. Thanks, Adam.
So, Adam,
Yes.
got anything to say? You are a co-host.
Thanks for putting
I'm
me
putting you
on
on
the
the spot just for fun.
But no, I'm enjoying this rewatch a lot. We're 11 episodes in. I'm loving to see Kevin's face every week and hearing the big sighs.
Honestly, every time now that I watch, when I'm watching the show, as I'm watching through the show, I'm like, Kevin's not gonna like that. Oh, Kevin's gonna be okay with that. Kevin's everything I watch now is gonna be whether Kevin's going to be okay with it or not. So
and most of all, I'm dying to see Archer actually look at a view screen and talk to somebody.
you know what? I'm not even totally sure it ever happens. I don't remember it.
He's like, hey,
It actually would have been awesome in this scene where they send the message back if it was like backwards, like if he wasn't looking at the screen when they spliced
just
it
the back of his head.
That would have been amazing.
I think I'm going to do an episode
in this?
where. Pardon?
His ears are very pointy in this clip.
Yeah, I think it's just a
little bit more pointier than normal.
point in time. But I'd love to do an episode where I'm just walking around my basement,
never looking at the camera,
just like,
By the way, Dave, I have a pitch for a new show for you, so we'll have to talk about that. I have an idea.
Exciting! Great. Yeah. Okay, I'll take us away on a clip, Jody, if you're ready.
Absolutely, Dave. You take it away.
All right, here we go. Well, what do you say, Mayweather and Reed?
Maybe they checked us out and decided we weren't very interesting.
Us? Not interesting.
Little on the podcast. Good night.
Take care.